The order that leaves the Eastern Theater Command at 14:07 local time is worded in the precise bureaucratic language of the People's Liberation Army as a live-fire deterrence exercise targeting hostile naval forces conducting provocative transit operations in China's internal waters. This framing does several things simultaneously. It characterizes the Taiwan Strait, a 180-kilometer wide body of water through which more than 48% of global container shipping passes every year, as Chinese internal waters, which is a legal position that no other country on Earth recognizes, and which the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea does not support. It characterizes a U.S. Navy carrier strike group conducting a routine freedom of navigation transit as a hostile force conducting provocative operations. And it authorizes the PLA Rocket Force to fire 2 DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missiles at USS Ronald Reagan. The framing is creative. The missiles are real. The DF-21D is China's most capable deployed anti-ship ballistic missile, and describing it otherwise would be inaccurate and would miss the point of this story entirely. It is a road-mobile, solid-fueled weapon with a range of approximately 1,500 kilometers, a Mach 10 terminal velocity in the reentry phase, and a maneuvering reentry vehicle, a MARV, that can execute terminal course corrections to compensate for target movement during the missile's flight time. The MARV is the technology that makes the DF-21D different from earlier anti-ship ballistic missiles. Earlier weapons flew a fixed trajectory and hoped the ship had not moved. The DF-21D's re-entry vehicle can maneuver. It can be updated in terminal phase via datalink from a targeting network that includes over-the-horizon radar systems, maritime surveillance satellites, and reconnaissance assets. This is genuine engineering. It represents decades of focused investment by a defense industrial base that took the problem of carrier strike group defense seriously and built a system designed to solve it. This is not a weapon to be dismissed. This is a weapon to be understood. What the engineers who designed the DF-21D built was a system that can, under the right conditions, reach a carrier at extended range with a guided warhead at terminal velocities that create serious intercept challenges. The qualification, under the right conditions, is doing significant work in that sentence, and we will return to it. But first, the vulnerability. USS Ronald Reagan is a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, CVN-76, currently transiting northbound through the Taiwan Strait at 14:07 local as part of a combined U.S. ROC naval exercise that has been on the schedule for 11 months. She is accompanied by her strike group, USS Chancellorsville as the Aegis BMD command cruiser, USS Howard and USS Milius as Aegis destroyers, and a THAAD battery aboard the joint logistics vessel USS Carl Brazier that has been in the strike group's integrated air and missile defense architecture since the exercise began 4 days ago. The USS Carl Brazier is also the reason USS Ronald Reagan is in her most tactically constrained configuration at 14:07 local. Replenishment at sea. Reagan is connected to USNS Cesar Chavez by 2 fuel lines and a cargo transfer line, taking on aviation fuel and ordnance for the next 72 hours of operations. The replenishment at sea evolution requires both ships to maintain a constant speed of 12 knots, a constant heading of 035, and a lateral separation of approximately 180 feet. Reagan cannot maneuver. She cannot accelerate. She cannot alter course. She is, for the duration of the replenishment evolution, operating with approximately the same tactical flexibility as a very expensive, very large, nuclear-powered barge. The evolution is scheduled to last 60 minutes. It began at 13:44 local. At 14:07 local, it has 22 minutes remaining. The DF-21D's flight time from its launch point in Fujian Province to the center of the Taiwan Strait is approximately 11 minutes. The math is uncomfortable for 22 minutes, then stops being uncomfortable. The two DF-21D launchers, road mobile transporter erector launchers, each carrying one missile, were driven to their firing positions from a hardened facility near Longyan at 11:30 local, which is 2 hours and 37 minutes before the launch order arrived. The movement was detected by the DSP infrared surveillance satellite at 11:47 local, when the TEL convoy's vehicle heat signatures were flagged by the automated detection algorithm against the known road network surrounding the Fujian launch complex. The flag was passed to Pacific Command at 11:52 local. Pacific Command passed it to the Reagan Strike Group at 11:57 local. Chancellorsville went to full Aegis BMD readiness at 12:03 local. Howard and Milius went to full readiness at 12:07 local. The Thay AD battery on Carl Brazier, operated by U.S. Army personnel embedded in the strike group for this exercise, went to full readiness at 12:11 local. At 14:07 local, when the launch order arrives at the PLA Rocket Force unit in Fujian Province, the Reagan Strike Group has been in full ballistic missile defense readiness for 2 hours and 4 minutes. Chancellorsville has had engagement solutions pre-computed and updated continuously for 2 hours. The THAAD battery has been in operational configuration since 12:11 local. The DSP satellite has the launch site under continuous surveillance. Every U.S. and partner intelligence asset covering the Taiwan Strait has been focused on Fujian Province since the TEL convoy was flagged. This is the shape of what readiness means when you have 2 hours to prepare. The DF-21D launches at 14:09 local. 2 missiles, 4 seconds apart, from TEL positions approximately 340 kilometers west of the Reagan Strike Group's current position. The DSP satellite detects the first launch at 14:09:03 local. The second launch at 14:09:07 local. The detection data reaches Chancellorsville in 2.8 seconds. The Aegis combat system has both tracks in 4.1 seconds of launch detection. The engagement timeline calculator updates immediately. Both missiles on depressed loft trajectories. Terminal velocity estimate Mach 9.4 to Mach 10.2. MARV activation expected at approximately 40 kilometers altitude. Total flight time to strike group 11 minutes and 14 seconds. 11 minutes and 14 seconds from launch to projected impact. Reagan has 22 minutes of replenishment evolution remaining. The intercepts will happen, or they will not happen in the first half of that window. The replenishment continues. USNS Cesar Chavez maintains 12 knots and heading 035. Reagan maintains 12 knots and heading 035. The fuel is flowing. The ordnance is transferring. The Aegis systems are doing what they were designed to do. In Chancellorsville's Combat Information Center, the Tactical Action Officer is running the engagement with the focused, specific attention of someone who has rehearsed this sequence more times than he can precisely remember, and is now doing it in earnest for the first time. The three-tier engagement architecture is the doctrine that the U.S. ballistic missile defense community has built specifically for the DF-21D problem. The tiers exist because the DF-21D's MARV capability means a missed intercept at one tier can potentially be caught at the next. The tiers are not redundancy for its own sake. They are a systematic response to the specific engineering that the DF-21D represents. Tier 1 is exo-atmospheric, SM-3 Block IIA from Chancellorsville, engaging the DF-21D in the mid-course phase above the atmosphere before the MARV activates. This is the preferred engagement, the highest altitude, the longest decision time, the intercept geometry that allows the largest correction window before terminal phase. The Block IIA's extended range gives it access to the DF-21D's mid-course trajectory that earlier SM-3 variants could not reach from this geometry. 2 SM-3 Block IIA interceptors, 1 per target. Tier 2 is upper-endo-atmospheric, THAAD-D, from the Carl Brashear battery, engaging the re-entry vehicles in the upper atmosphere after MARV activation and before terminal maneuvering reaches its maximum intensity. THAAD was specifically designed for this engagement band. Its hit to neutralize kinetic warhead operates at the altitude where the DF-21D's MARV is transitioning from mid-course updates to terminal guidance, the seam between predictable trajectory and maneuvering terminal phase is where THAAD's geometry is most favorable. 1 THAAD interceptor per target, sequenced to arrive if the SM-3 round does not achieve intercept. Tier 3 is endo-atmospheric terminal, SM-2, Block IIIB from Howard and Milius, engaging re-entry vehicles that survive the first 2 tiers in the lower atmosphere. The SM-2 in this role is a backstop. The geometry against a Mach 10 maneuvering re-entry vehicle at low altitude is the least favorable of the 3 tiers, and the SM-2 Block IIIB's engagement capability against a MARV is the most demanding application of the system. 2 SM-2 rounds per target in the terminal tier, because this is the tier where the probability math is tightest. 8 interceptors total, 2 targets. 4 rounds per target across 3 tiers. The engagement architecture is not conservative. It is what the doctrine requires when the target is a DF-21D on a trajectory toward a carrier conducting replenishment at sea. The first, SM-3 Block IIA, leaves Chancellorsville's forward, Mark 41 at 14:11:22 local. The second targeting the second DF-21D at 14:11:31 local. Both interceptors are climbing at velocities that the human eye cannot follow, and the radar tracks as data points updating several times per second. The DF-21D's MARV activates at approximately 40 kilometers altitude, as projected. The activation signature, a specific telemetry emission associated with the MARV's navigation system coming online, is detected by the signals intelligence architecture covering the strait in 0.6 seconds. The MARV activation data confirms that both missiles are on terminal guidance trajectories, with datalink updating from what appears to be the PLA's over-the-horizon radar network covering the strait. The OTH radar network's uplink frequency allocation, previously characterized from exercise collection, is being used in live operational mode for the first time. The signals intelligence systems recording this are adding operational fidelity data to a library entry that has previously been populated only from training events. The OTH network is disclosing its operational mode characteristics to a collection architecture it cannot see, in order to guide missiles that are about to be intercepted. The first SM-3 Block IIA intercept occurs at 14:12:44 local at an altitude of 82 miles. The kinetic intercept vehicle, having separated from the third stage booster and homed on the first DF-21D's MARV using its own onboard sensors, closes the remaining distance at combined velocities that produce a kinetic energy release equivalent to the warhead mass times the closing velocity squared. No explosive charge, no proximity fuse, pure mass and velocity. The first DF-21D's MARV becomes a debris field at 82 miles altitude over the Taiwan Strait. The debris is insufficient to threaten surface assets. The second SM-3 Block IIA achieves intercept of the second DF-21D at 14:13:02 local, 18 seconds after the first. Same altitude band. The second MARV joins the first in the category of non-viable reentry vehicles. The THAAD battery has 2 interceptors in the air. Both self-neutralize per protocol. The SM-2 rounds on Howard and Milius remain in their cells. The 3-tier architecture engaged at Tier 1 and did not need Tiers 2 or 3. This is the preferred outcome. It is also the outcome that produces the least operational data about THAAD and SM-2 performance in this scenario. The Tier 1 success means Tiers 2 and 3 were never tested in earnest today. The engagement log notes this. The next exercise will be designed to test the lower tiers. USS Ronald Reagan's replenishment evolution completes at 1429 local, exactly on schedule with no interruption. The fuel lines disconnect at 1428.47 local. USNS Cesar Chavez begins her separation maneuver at 1429.03 local. Reagan comes to her planned post-replenishment course at 1431 local. The ordnance transferred during the replenishment includes sufficient aviation stores for 3 additional days of flight operations, which will proceed on schedule beginning at 600 local tomorrow. The intelligence product from the engagement is, by any reasonable assessment, the most valuable output of the entire encounter. The DF-21D MARVs activation signature, collected under live operational conditions for the first time in a genuine engagement scenario rather than a scripted exercise, provides a data point that has been sought by the U.S. ballistic missile defense community since the DF-21D was first identified. The difference between a MARV activation signature in a Chinese exercise, where the system operates under controlled conditions with known parameters, and a MARV activation in a live engagement, where the system is operating under the full stress of operational employment, is the difference between a rehearsal recording and a live performance recording. The signal characteristics under operational load are different. The differences have been noted. They will be incorporated into the engagement algorithms that detect and respond to MARV activation in future scenarios. The PLA-OTH radar network's operational uplink mode, used to update the DF-21D's MARV guidance during the terminal phase, was transmitted on the previously characterized frequency allocation, but with operational modulation settings that differ from the exercise recordings. The operational modulation has been collected and is being compared against the library. The specific differences indicate that the OTH network uses a different signal compression format under operational conditions than it uses in exercises, which has implications for electronic warfare systems attempting to characterize or interfere with the uplink. The implications are being studied. The study is now informed by data that did not previously exist. The TEL movement patterns from 11:30 local to launch at 14:09 local. 39 minutes of road movement tracked by satellite, ground-based radar, and signals intelligence provide an operational timeline for the PLA Rocket Force's deployment sequence. The time from TEL departure from the hardened facility to first launch, 2 hours and 39 minutes. This is a planning parameter. It means the TEL departure from known facilities is a 2-hour and 39-minute warning of potential launch. The next time a PLA Rocket Force TEL convoy departs a known Fujian facility, the strike group defending against it will know the operational timeline with a fidelity that was not available before today. The post-launch TL movement, both launchers departing their firing positions immediately after missile away, moving on pre-planned egress routes, was tracked by the KH-11 satellite that was repositioned over Fujian Province at 12:15 local, 3 hours before the launch. Both TELs are currently under continuous observation. The egress routes are being mapped against the known road network. The hardened shelter the TELs return to will be a confirmed location by nightfall. Somewhere in the PLA Rocket Force's Fujian command structure, a report is being written about the engagement outcome. The report will acknowledge that both missiles were intercepted at high altitude. It will presumably contain an assessment of the intercept system's capabilities that is more accurate than the public PLA briefings about DF-21D effectiveness that have characterized the missile as capable of penetrating Aegis defenses. The gap between the public briefing and the operational result will be noted in the report. Whether the report's conclusions will revise the public briefing is a question for the PLA Rocket Force's information management structure. The cost accounting for this engagement has an unusual character. 2 DF-21D missiles. Each cost China approximately $10 to $15 million to produce, based on open-source assessments of the PLA Rocket Force's production costs for the Dongfeng series. 2 of them, $20 to $30 million. This does not count the operational cost of the OTH radar network, the targeting satellite support, the fuel and crew time for the TEL deployment, and the organizational cost of the planning and authorization chain that produced the launch order. The full operational cost of this engagement to the PLA Rocket Force is probably in the range of $50 to $60 million, accounting for all direct and indirect costs. 2 SM-3 Block IIA interceptors at approximately $29 million each, $58 million. 2 THAAD interceptors that self-neutralized without intercept, approximately $36 million in rounds that are now expended, regardless of whether they achieved intercept. 4 SM-2 rounds that were loaded into the engagement plan, but not fired. No expenditure. Total U.S. material cost of the engagement, approximately $94 million. China spent $50 to $60 million. The U.S. spent $94 million. The asymmetric arithmetic gives China a favorable ratio. The DF-21D production rate, based on open-source assessments of the PLA Rocket Force's industrial base, is estimated at approximately 15 to 20 units per year. 2 of them are now debris over the Taiwan Strait. The SM-3 Block IIA production rate, based on the Raytheon production contract and the joint U.S.-Japan manufacturing arrangement, is approximately 30 units per year. The magazine depth differential is in the U.S.'s favor. The cost per round differential is in China's favor. The engagement that actually occurred today produced intercepts at the most favorable tier, which is the tier that costs the most per round but requires the fewest rounds. The math is complicated, and complicated math is what the acquisition community is paid to resolve. Reagan completed her replenishment. She continued her transit. She will generate flight operations tomorrow. The Taiwan Strait is 180 kilometers wide, legally international and operationally accessible. These facts have not changed. By 1600 local, the PLA's Eastern Theater Command has issued a statement. The statement characterizes the live-fire exercise as a complete success, demonstrating the PLA Rocket Force's capability to hold hostile carrier strike groups at risk throughout the Western Pacific. The DF-21D is described as having completed its mission. The specific nature of that mission's completion is not detailed. The statement notes that China will continue to take all necessary measures to defend its sovereign rights in Chinese internal waters. The Taiwan Strait is described as Chinese internal waters 4 times in 6 paragraphs, which is either a statement of legal position or evidence of a recurring clerical error in the Eastern Theater Command's communications department. The 2 intercepted reentry vehicles are in the South China Sea at the bottom of a very deep ocean. The OTH radar network's operational modulation profile is in the U.S. Signals Intelligence Database. The TEL egress routes are in the imagery archive. The MARV activation signature under operational conditions is in the engagement algorithm. On USS Ronald Reagan's bridge, the navigator is plotting the post-replenishment course adjustment for the continuation of the northbound transit. She notes the intercept confirmations in her log, 14-1244 and 14-13-02 local, with the same notation format used for weather observations and course alterations. Specific, accurate, unexcited. The Taiwan Strait transit will be completed on schedule. In Fujian Province, the TEL crews are back in their hardened shelters. The 2 launcher bays are empty. The reload cycle will take approximately 72 hours if replacement rounds are available in the adjacent storage facility. The storage facility is under satellite observation. The round availability assessment will be updated within 24 hours based on the imagery. The 2 rounds that mattered today are gone. The knowledge of how they behaved is not. It never is. Bye for now.